and welcome to the Economist Weekly. I'm your host, Rachel Connolly, and this week's topic is business cycles and unemployment. First, let me explain what a business cycle means. You might be thinking of a circle, but really it is like a wave. A business cycle rises and falls relating to the level of economic activity in a period of time. There are two phases, recession and an expansion. These two phases are driven by shocks. These shocks can be either good or bad. And here to explain how these shocks affected us in 2007 is Amanda Loznak. Amanda?
Thanks, Rachel. And here behind me is one of the companies that had to shut down during the 2008 economic crisis. What happened was in 2007, the U.S. encountered a bad shock. What happened was people were spending more money than they could afford, and creditors were dishing out more money than they should have. Creditors were specifically doing this in the housing market. When people couldn't pay their mortgage, they were forced to foreclose. This cost the nation's leading banks a ton of money and made them tighten credit. This caused panic across the nation, and everywhere people stopped spending money. This caused a demand shock, which is unexpected change in demand for goods and services. Because people weren't spending their money, businesses were not getting enough money to stay afloat. In fear of closing, businesses all over were laying off tons of people, causing mass unemployment. Tim and Deborah Smith were one of the families affected in the recession.
2008, it was a crazy time at work. You see people getting the pink slips every day. Never knew when it was going to be you. It was scary. And then one day it happened. How's that?
This is Amanda Loznak, reporting on the economic crisis of 2007 and 2008. Back to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Amanda. And how do they determine the unemployment rate? Each month, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics conducts a nationwide survey of 60,000 households to determine who is employed and who is not. They then take the number of employed and divide by the labor force, who is anyone 16 years and older, willing and able to work, and multiply it by 100. The unemployment rate in early 2008 was 5% and steadily increased to 10% in late 2009. Now there are three types of employment. One is frictional unemployment, which is associated with people looking for jobs or waiting to take jobs in the near future. The next is structural unemployment, which is when grandma can't find a job in steel production because the machines do it for her. And finally is cyclical unemployment, which is the type of unemployment experienced during the recession. So what does this mass epidemic of unemployment mean for our economy? Well, Professor Doyle has the answers for you.
Thanks, Rachel. And what does this have to do with the economy? It all has to do with output. If you can remember all the way back to January when we discussed the production possibilities curve, when there's not enough capable people being used in the workforce, there is a less than optimal level of output. Unemployed workers may call this the end of the world, but economists call it a GDP gap, which is the difference between the actual GDP and potential GDP. Fortunately, business cycles are cycles, and when there is a recession, an expansion always follows.
Thank you, Professor Doyle. Well, that's it for the Economist Weekly. I'm Rachel Conley, and you stay classy, Eastern.